the deadly and sexual exposures of this black warrior queen. In a time when women were not seen as warriors, Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba defied all odds to become a powerful leader. She showcased remarkable skills as a diplomat, a ruthless strategist, and a master of disguise. Her story is a testament to strength, courage, unwavering defiance, and brutal bloodshed. From killing her blood brother for the throne, to owning a male harem, and making them fight each other for a chance to sleep with her every night. We'll be discussing the deadly and sexual exposures of this black warrior queen. So join us as we dive into the exceptional story and remarkable legacy of Queen Nzinga, who ruled with the strength and authority akin to a king. Nzinga Ana de Sousa Mbande was born between 1583 and 1663. She was an African ruler in the southwestern part of Africa who reigned as queen over the Ambundu kingdoms of Ndongo from 1624 to 1663 and Matamba from 1631 to 1663. These regions are now located in northern Angola. Her father, Ngola Kilombo Kia Kasenda, was the king of Ndongo, and her mother, Kangela Ka Nkombe, was a slave wife who held a special place in the king's heart. When Nzinga was 10 years old, her father ascended to the throne of Ndongo. Despite not being considered a direct heir, she enjoyed her father's favoritism. This unique position allowed her to receive special attention without being seen as a threat by potential male successors to the throne. During her upbringing, she underwent military training and learned the ways of a warrior. Nzinga exhibited remarkable skill with the battle axe, which is the traditional weapon of Ndongan warriors, as she fought alongside her father. Nzinga's early life and upbringing laid the foundation for her remarkable journey as a formidable ruler and warrior queen. She had the opportunity of learning how to read and write in Portuguese through interactions with visiting missionaries from Portugal. With her acquired knowledge and diplomatic skills, Queen Nzinga became proficient in resolving political crises. She even served as an ambassador to the Portuguese Empire, effectively navigating the complex interactions between her kingdom and the Portuguese authorities. In 1617, Queen Nzinga's father, the king, passed away, and her brother, Mbandi, became the new king. Upon ascending the throne, her brother engaged in a period of intense political violence. He orchestrated months of bloodshed, eliminating many rivals who had claims to the throne. This included their older half-brother and his family. Fortunately, Queen Nzinga was spared from this violence. However, her young son faced a tragic fate. The king ordered the execution of her son. Additionally, Queen Nzinga and her two sisters were subjected to a horrifying act. They were forcibly sterilized, preventing Queen Nzinga from ever having another child. Following these brutal actions, Mbandi solidified his power and made a vow to continue the ongoing war against the Portuguese, demonstrating his determination to resist their influence and maintain his authority. Despite his lack of military expertise, the king managed to form an alliance with the Mbangala people. However, the Portuguese forces continued to make significant advances, posing a growing threat to Nzinga's brother and his people. In 1621, the king reached out to Nzinga for help after realizing the urgent need for assistance. He requested her to serve as his envoy to the Portuguese in Luanda. Nzinga was the ideal candidate for the task because royal lineage and fluency in Portuguese made her well suited for diplomatic negotiations. She agreed to take on the mission, but had certain conditions. She requested the authority to negotiate on behalf of the king and permission to be baptized, recognizing the significance of baptism as a diplomatic tool she could utilize against the Portuguese. With a grand entourage, Nzinga departed from the Ndongan capital and arrived in Luanda, where she garnered substantial attention. The Portuguese governor, captivated by her presence, even offered to cover all the expenses for her party. While it was customary for Ndongo leaders to dress in European attire when meeting the Portuguese, Nzinga chose to wear lavish traditional clothing adorned with feathers and jewels that represented the rich culture of the Ndongan people. The deliberate choice aimed to showcase that their culture was not inferior to the Portuguese, making a powerful statement during the diplomatic proceedings. However, when Nzinga arrived for the meeting with the Portuguese officials, she noticed that they had chairs prepared for themselves. but only a mat was provided for her. This disrespectful treatment was a common practice by the Portuguese. It's a way of asserting their superiority over the Africans they had conquered. In a bold response, Nzinga ordered one of her servants to crouch down on all fours, acting as her human chair, while she engaged in direct conversation with the governor. As the negotiations came to a close, she swiftly slit the servant's throat in front of all, emphasizing that the Queen of Ndongo never sits on the same chair twice. Nzinga understood the power of flattery as a diplomatic tool. Some sources suggest that she purposely contrasted her brother's confrontational approach with her own diplomatic demeanor during the encounter. As the ambassador, Nzinga's primary objective was to negotiate a peaceful resolution between her people and the Portuguese, striving to achieve a mutually beneficial agreement. To secure peace, Queen Nzinga made compelling promises to the Portuguese. She acknowledged her brother's past actions as the mistake of a young king and offered an end to hostilities. In a surprising move, she allowed Portuguese slave traders to enter Ndongo and expressed her willingness to return any escaped Portuguese slaves who were fighting within her brother's army. In exchange, Queen Nzinga firmly demanded the removal of Portuguese forts that had been built within Ndongo's territory. She emphasized that Ndongo would not pay tribute to Portugal, as tribute was typically demanded from conquered peoples, and her people had not been defeated. Additionally, she emphasized the potential for cooperation between their kingdoms, highlighting the mutual benefits they could derive from their shared struggles against common enemies in the region. After successfully negotiating with the Portuguese, Nzinga and her brother went back to Ndongo Island. Unfortunately, the peace treaty failed, and in 1624, her brother, King Ndongo, died in a way that some people believe was suicide. He left behind a young son who was supposed to become the next king. Some reports say that Nzinga killed her brother to become queen. They claim she either poisoned him or killed him while he was sleeping, and she also got rid of his son and heir. But some historians disagree with these reports. After her brother's passing, Queen Nzinga wasted no time in consolidating her power. She had her supporters seize the ceremonial objects associated with the monarchy and eliminated her opponents at court. She took on the title of Angola, which bestowed upon her a position of great influence among her people. A grand funeral was arranged for her brother, and some of his remains were preserved in a reliquary called a misete, so that she could consult them in the future. So, in 1624, following the passing of her brother Mbandi, Queen Nzinga assumed power over Ndongo. According to an old tale, there is a legend about Queen Nzinga, who had a rather unique way of managing her romantic affairs. It was said that she had a group of about 60 male servants who were made to dress as women, forming her harem. This unconventional harem served as a sanctuary for the queen, offering companionship and support in a way that transcended societal norms. They were her confidants, her trusted allies, and her loyal companions. What made Queen Nzinga's harem truly extraordinary was the way she selected her companions for the night. These men would engage in fierce battles, fighting each other until only one remained standing. The survivor would earn the privilege and responsibility of spending the night with the queen. However, when morning arrived, Queen Nzinga would order his life to be taken. By the late 1630s, Queen Nzinga's influence had expanded to the north and south of Matamba. Through strategic maneuvers, she blocked other rulers from accessing the Portuguese-controlled coast. She captured parts of the Congo River and gained control over the important lands that supplied slaves. Nzinga also extended her territory to the north, establishing diplomatic ties with the Kingdom of Congo and Dutch merchants who were becoming increasingly active in the region. In 1641, the forces of the Dutch West India Company, in alliance with the Kingdom of Congo, successfully seized Luanda from the Portuguese, establishing the Directorate of Luango Angola. This was a significant blow to the Portuguese. In response, Queen Nzinga swiftly sent an embassy to the newly controlled Dutch city, recognizing the opportunity to forge connections and further her own interests. The fall of Luanda was a significant setback for the Portuguese, prompting Queen Nzinga to take swift action. She immediately sent a delegation to the Dutch-controlled city, recognizing the opportunity to establish connections and advance her own interests. Amidst her ongoing battles against the Portuguese and their allies, Queen Nzinga forged alliances with neighboring kingdoms, further expanding her influence as she grew older. She deployed her soldiers to assert her authority over local noblemen, dispatched forces to combat the Imbangalans of Kasanje in eastern Matamba, and engaged in conflicts with the Kingdom of Kaka in the Congo. Utilizing her army as a political instrument, Queen Nzinga skillfully influenced succession disputes, to ensure outcomes in her favor. She also took a bold stance against the slave trade, aiming to demonstrate to the Portuguese that they held no superiority over her people. Additionally, she made the remarkable decision to name a woman as her successor, challenging gender norms and empowering women in leadership roles. One of Nzinga's notable achievements was her adept consolidation of power by forming alliances with former rival states. In 1627, she rallied these states and fearlessly led her army against the Portuguese, initiating a prolonged 30-year war. This bold move showcased her leadership prowess and unwavering determination to defend her people's interests. Nzinga also skillfully exploited European rivalries to her advantage. Recognizing the Dutch conquest of Luanda in 1641, she forged an alliance with them to leverage their military might. Together, they dealt a significant blow to the Portuguese by triumphing over their army in 1647. This victory solidified Nzinga's position as a strategic genius and earned her a reputation as a formidable warrior. On December 17, 1663, Queen Nzinga died peacefully in her 80s, despite the Portuguese and their allies making repeated attempts to capture or kill her. After her death, she's known in Angola as a remarkable and courageous woman who ruled with the strength and authority of a king, even dressing in men's clothing. Her legacy as the mother of Angola, a champion of negotiations, and a liberator of her people endures worldwide. Throughout Africa, she is revered as an exceptional leader and a symbol of female empowerment. Her political and diplomatic skills, coupled with her brilliant military tactics, earned her admiration and respect. In Luanda, the capital of Angola, a prominent street bears her name, and a magnificent statue of Queen Nzinga stands in Kanakshishi Square till today. This statue, dedicated by President Santos on the 27th anniversary of Angola's independence, holds great significance. It has become a cherished site for Angolan weddings, particularly on Thursdays and Fridays. In recognition of her role in defending and self-determination and cultural identity of her people, the National Reserve Bank of Angola, or BNA, equally issued a 20 kwanza coin on the 23rd of December 2014 as a tribute to Queen Nzinga. This commemorative coin serves as a lasting testament to her enduring impact and legacy. Despite some of her shortcomings, Queen Nzinga is still honored today. Her significant contributions and unwavering commitment to her people have solidified her place as a revered figure in Angolan history and Africa as a whole.